After divorce, men don't just lose friends. They find out that a lot of those friends were never really theirs to begin with, and the way back isn't what anybody tells you. So if you're somewhere inside of a divorce or separation right now, watching your social world go silent and trying to figure out what you did wrong, well, this video is for you, because I want to talk about the 3 things men tell themselves when this happens, why 2 of them make it worse, and the 1 thing that actually helped me find my way back. At some point after divorce, you start to notice something. Nobody's calling. Not to check in, not to see how you're doing, not to say, hey, you want to grab a beer or come hang out, we haven't seen you in a while. Nothing. Well, that's what happened to me, and maybe that's happening to you too. And at first I thought, well, okay, people are busy, life gets in the way, give it some time. But the weeks went by and the phone stayed quiet. And I started to understand what was actually happening. It wasn't that my friends were busy. It was that they weren't really just my friends. They were the marriage's friends. And when the marriage ended, they went with it. Every barbecue, every birthday party, every couple we'd known for years, gone. Not dramatically, just quietly. The way a fire goes out when you stop feeding it. Now here's the first thing men tell themselves when they realize their social circle has collapsed. I'm not in a good place right now, or I need to get myself together first. Once I've healed a little, once I feel more like myself, then I'll reach out. Then I'll put myself out there. Well, I told myself this for months, and I was very committed to getting myself together. And I was doing a great job of it alone, in a house, talking to nobody except myself. And here's what that actually is. It's shame dressed up as responsibility. It feels like you're being considerate, sparing people from your mess. But what it really means is you've decided you're not worth being around right now, that you have to earn your way back into being around people. And for introverts, believing that is especially dangerous, because we're already wired to pull inward. We already need more convincing than most men to reach out. Hand us a reason to stay isolated, and we'll hold on to that for a long, long time. The men who wait until they feel ready mostly wait alone. And there's nothing wrong with that alone time, figuring things out and putting yourself back together. But you don't have to be fixed to be worth knowing. You just have to show up. Even if you have a few scars, that's fine. Most people worth knowing have a scar or 2 themselves. I mean, take a piece of paper and crumple it up into a ball, and then undo it. It's not pretty, it's all wrinkled up, but it's still a useful piece of paper. You can still write on it. And you don't have to start with trying to make new friends. That can be kind of awkward. Start with getting back in touch with old friends, the ones that knew you before the marriage. Because trust me, they won't mind if you're a little wrinkled. And here's the thing. That rule about you don't have to be fixed to be worth knowing, well, it only gets you so far, because there's a second myth that men tell themselves, and it's the opposite problem. If sitting alone, waiting to feel ready doesn't work, then maybe the answer is to go find somebody. Get back out there and start dating again. That'll fix the quiet. I get it. When everything feels empty, connection feels like the solution. And romantic connection feels like the fastest version of that. But here's what's actually happening when men rush into dating after divorce. You're trying to fill a void that honestly you're definitely not ready for, which is not a great thing to find out when you're on an actual date. Now, I made a video about why dating too soon after divorce doesn't fix the loneliness. It just relocates it onto somebody who didn't sign up for it. I'll leave a link to it in the comments. It's definitely worth watching before you download a dating app. Going back to old friends and going on dates feels like the same move, but they're not. Old friends already know you. They know the you before things went south in the marriage. And there's nothing to prove, no performance. You can show up a little wrinkled and it costs you nothing. A date is a stranger sizing you up in real time. And if what you're bringing is a hole where you used to be, that's exactly what they'll see and feel. So here's where the two myths actually split. You don't have to be fixed to reconnect with the people who already know you, but you do need some of that work done before you hand a stranger the baggage from your marriage. It's not about whether you're ready, it's about what you're asking the other person for. So here's something that took me a long time to admit. I used to love being in a crowd, loud rooms, lots of people. I was the guy who showed up. I didn't need a reason. Somewhere along the way, that guy went quiet. And for a long time, I just figured I'd gotten older. And look, maybe some of that's true. Getting older changes a person. Nobody's denying that. But when I actually looked at it, I didn't fade out gradually the way age usually works on somebody. I went quiet right around the time my whole social life started running through one person. I showed up back in my hometown after the divorce like a slightly wrinkled version of myself from 20 years ago. Older, less certain, and definitely with less hair. Once I was married, I didn't need to maintain outside friendships because I had a built-in social life sitting across the table every night. I didn't need to push myself into a room full of strangers because I already had company. So that guy, the one who showed up, who called people, who didn't need a reason, he didn't disappear. He just stopped getting used for 20, 30 years. You stop using a muscle long enough, it stops responding the way it used to. That's not personality changing. That's just what happens to anything that sits unused for decades. So when the marriage ended and I found myself alone, I figured the quiet guy was just who I was now. Final answer. This is me at 50. Well, it wasn't the final answer. It was just that the muscle hadn't been used. So here's where it actually started moving again. I ran into people back in my hometown that I hadn't seen since before the marriage. Old friends, old acquaintances. And they didn't see a divorced man or a quiet man or whatever version of me I'd settled into. They saw the guy they used to know. Picked right up where we left off, like no time had passed. Being around people who remembered that version of me did something. Not overnight, but slowly hanging around them, and some of that old self started waking back up. It wasn't just the people either. I started picking back up a few things I used to actually enjoy. Stuff that had quietly gotten buried for 20 years because there was never quite enough time or energy or reason. Turns out the reason had been missing the whole time, not the interest. And for introverts, this matters even more because we don't build new social muscle easily. We never did. But the muscle we built before, the one that existed before the marriage took over, that's not gone. It's just been sitting unused. Same as we have. So here's the truth underneath all of this. You didn't become an introvert, you went unused. And unused things don't stay broken. They just need somebody to pick them back up. Go find the people who knew you before. Pick back up the thing that you used to love doing. You're not becoming somebody new. You're switching the old one back on. The friend problem after divorce isn't really about making new friends. That comes later. The first move is simpler than that, and it costs you nothing except a little pride. Go back. Find the people who knew you when you were just you. Pick back up the things you used to love. Let both of them remind you who that was. Because the next question, once you've started to remember, is a harder one. If marriage took your friends, your social life, and even the version of you that used to walk into a room without thinking twice, what else got put away? Who were you before all of it? And is that person still there? That's what this video is about. the identity that goes missing when you lose the roles of being husband and father and provider all at once, and what it actually takes to find out what's left. Watch it next, and I'll see you there.